Guess what day it is? It's Take Your Medal to Zoom Day. That's right. You worked really hard for this puppy and you want to show it off, and you never know who you're going to inspire. So congratulations for either getting your 1% membership club pass, or like me, getting another punch in that card. Because 1%, they say about 1% of the population does a marathon, and you're part of that 1%. So I took notes so I don't go off track, and I get a little excited. So this is gonna help me. Okay, oh my gosh. So yesterday was my 26th Chicago Marathon and my 125th marathon overall, from the girl who never thought she could do one. So I just want to share some of my tips for what to do at mile 26.3, because that's where we're at. First off, for those of you who hit your goal time or even goal time plus, I am so proud of you. You worked so hard and all that work paid off. Okay, for those of you who didn't hit your goal time, you worked so hard and you are still part of the 1%. I'm just as proud of you. And I want you guys to realize that running and racing and life, there's so many parallels. Go back and look at your training this season, and I'm sure you had days where it was easy 8 miles on the books, right? And then you go out you go out in the first few miles, you're like, oh, you just never know. It's just like life. You wake up and you think you're gonna have this awesome day, and then the universe brings you things and it's not so awesome. Or the reverse, you wake up and you got so much, there's so many things you don't wanna attack or go forward, and it ends up being an awesome day. It's the same with our runs, it's the same with our races. So as Taylor Swift would say, just shake it off. Okay, I just said that. So so again, in my experience, I have good days, bad days, good races, bad races, and we just move on, and that's what I want you guys to do. So one thing for my folks that didn't hit their goal, I think part of the problem is that all of us runners and athletes, we have a very skewed view of our performance because we're comparing ourselves or our times to everyone around us instead of, again, those 99% of the people that don't do it. Let alone, what about when you were 10? Did you ever think you'd do a freaking marathon, let alone more marathons for my many timers? Yeah, so it's one day in your life. It's just like when we take those standardized tests. We get a grade and it may not be at the highest percentile, but it doesn't discount the effort, okay? So high five to you guys too. All righty. Okay. So for anyone who just did the marathon, I always recommend my runners, I've been coaching for about 12 years, that your fitness, you are at your training peak. So those of you that didn't hit your goal, I want you to find another marathon like 3 to 6 weeks out, because again, you're at your training peak. And those of you that did hit your goal, find a half marathon to do, because you will fly and you'll say, what, it's only 13.1 miles, and you're gonna do great. So back to my folks that didn't hit their goal time yesterday at the Chicago Marathon. So find a marathon that's like 3 to 6 weeks out. If you need help, I can help you. But what you need to focus on is just getting the legs healed for all the beating up you did this training season and yesterday, and then get the mind ready to get back in the game. So I'm gonna touch on how to get the mind or the legs ready to rock and roll again. So again, I've done over 300 races. Yesterday is my 125th marathon. And in the last 2 weeks, I did 3 marathons in the virtual Boston in only 2 weeks. And this is how I do it and keep marathoning. I'm a huge believer in deep tissue massages. So I recommend you guys get a massage anytime this week and wear your medal, because you just might inspire your massage therapist. And that way they'll know that you did a marathon and they won't go too deep on you. Okay, the other thing I recommend is ice baths, because it really brings down the inflammation. And then the third thing I recommend, my friend Scott, he has this mantra where motion is lotion. So today, tomorrow, I recommend that you do like a 10 to 20 minute run or 10 to 20 minute walk, because the more we move, the lower the probability that our muscles are going to keep tightening up. Okay, and the last thing I recommend is, I believe in this product called Tailwind Rebuild. It is miracle powder. I took it yesterday. I took it after each one of those marathons I did in the last 2 weeks. And it's 4 parts carb, 1 part protein, which is just what our body needs to recover. And I took it right after. You add it to water, and it's not like I feel great right after. Well, of course I feel great. I just did a freaking marathon. But today I'm fine. I'm gonna go run with some of my runners today. I'm at the Boston Marathon, but that's a whole nother story. Okay, so those are the recovery methods, or the recovery tools that I have in my toolbox, and I'm passing them to you. Okay, I just want to add one more thing about some of us runners. And I'm trying to change the dialogue, because this is how I used to be, and this is what I try and change in my clients, is that our litmus test for how we did at a race or workout should not be an inanimate object. It should be the effort we put in. So if you push past the point of wanting to quit, where else can you dig? So that means you did enough, okay? Back to, see, I told you I go off on tangents. Okay, I talked about that. So I do hope to see you guys at next year's Chicago Marathon, or any marathon. Sorry about that. Any marathon, because that's my happy place, being at marathons. But next year's marathon, save the date, October 9th, 2022, and it's going to be fantabulous. Oh, and if you know anyone who doesn't think they can do a marathon, but you know they can, I forgot my prop, but I wrote a book, Me, You, and 26.2, Coach Denise's Guide to Your First Marathon, and it is super inspiring. I've had some of my readers and listeners listen to it more than once, read it 5 or 6 times, and they're not family. So it's really good. So send them that way. Okay, I think that's all. That I wanted to say. Oh, and as my client Debbie said after she did her first marathon, I'm going to use the word marathoner in every conversation, as should you. Congrats, guys.